Back at the table with this week's Line Opinion panelists. Local media are reporting this week that government contractors are concerned about what will happen in January when New Mexico driver's licenses are no longer accepted as a form of ID in government facilities like Kirtland Air Force Base. Now, our state is out of compliance with the Federal Real ID Act because New Mexico issues driver's licenses to residents regardless of immigration status. Governor Martinez has pushed for years to repeal the driver's license law, as you know. A compromise bill passed in the state Senate this year but didn't get a vote in the House. New Mexico is not only the only state out of compliance with Real ID. According to the Department of Homeland Security, New Mexico is one of 17 states that have an extension that runs out in January. Now, the legislature can pick up the issue again during this session, but even if they pass a bill, it may take months, Antoinette Cedillo Lopez, to implement. Your sense of this, is the problem really about this idea that, not taken out of the Fed's hands here, the idea of giving licenses to non-documented people, is that the crux of the problem here?
I want to take issue with that's the only problem.
Okay.
New Mexico has to implement facial recognition software. New Mexico has to ensure that all of the MVD offices are secure. What is that going to do to all these little express MVD? There are so many issues in which New Mexico is not prepared. And all of the focus has been on the issue of undocumented immigrants. And the governor's response to this, saying that we need to repeal this license, is so overbroad because the Real ID Act permits certain immigrants who have a lawful presence to get the Real ID.
Gotcha.
And even there's controversy because people are realizing we really want to know who has licenses. That's the point. I'm fascinated because liberals and conservatives all recoiled against Real ID at the very beginning, and people have forgotten that. But now, if you think about it, if you want to know more about people, why would you exclude undocumented people? The whole thing is just a mess.
I hadn't thought about it that way. That's interesting. If the idea is to know who's got a license and who's doing what, where, location, why leave some holes out there?
Exactly. It's counterproductive. And I believe Homeland Security, that is behind Real ID, I think they're thinking about it, and I think we're going to see some changes to it.
Yeah, you got to think. January's not far away, though. You got to think. Tom, your thought on this one?
Well, there's so many things that irk me on this, and Antoinette skillfully talked about a couple of them. As far as, people are distracting from the issues. Here's the fact of the case. This is not a new issue. Organizations like the Loveless Respiratory Institute knew this was going to be happening. Everybody, this isn't like this happened overnight.
Right. And their facilities on base.
There's facilities on base. It is a $92 million company.
Right.
They offer some very high-paying jobs. If they were to implement, well, first off, let's just get a passport, okay? Stop trying to hijack the issue and say, poor us, okay? No, your folks can afford a passport. You can go take care of it. That's not the issue. It's a very good distraction, by the way. The real issue is...
But let me stop you there. Hang on. I think some folks might have an issue with that, though.
Okay.
The idea of carry papers, so to speak. We understand you have to have something to get on base.
What's an ID, right?
An ID of some
absolutely.
sort. Yeah. Is that fair? I mean, if you lose a passport, it's a real pain in one's rear end. If you lose, you know what I mean? It's not quite that easy just walking around with a passport.
Well, I mean,
you can keep it in your glove compartment maybe, every time you go on base.
I carry mine. I mean, just because it's just something that I do, you know. But I find I'm not the norm by any means.
All right.
I don't think it's a big issue, especially, and I think that the federal contractors have been very effective at hijacking this. Fact of the matter is, nothing's going to happen before January 10th.
Right.
So they just have to buck up and say, you know what, we're going to address this issue. We're going to take care of the short term, so the rest of us can get focused and refocused on what the real issue is, and Antoinette did a really good job of talking about those.
Your sense of this when you hear from those contractors in the business community, how much of this is, as Tom says, people nervousness and really not being sure what's going on, or a real fear that this is going to be so impactful on, say, a Fiore Industries, who was mentioned in the Journal report. A big company, they do a lot of work there. What's your feedback you're hearing?
I think it just goes back to frustration. I mean, we have this huge body of contractors out there who need to get into these facilities, and I think they're upset that, I mean, this issue has been out there for years. Why hasn't there been a legislative fix? Why have we gotten so distracted by the broader debate over immigration issues? Well, I think there is frustration among businesses why we haven't been able to fix this piece.
Interesting.
I think this is a big deal.
Okay.
And I think that it's going to be a big deal because we've got, for years when I was covering the legislature, 2010, 2011, 2012, this has been a hot button issue. But many people, especially Democrats in Santa Fe, were saying, oh, the Real ID thing, that's a mirage. The Homeland Security people are going to kick it down the road. Well, the Homeland Security people, President Obama, Homeland Security people, have said they're not going to kick the can down the road. And this is going to be a very big deal. You've got 30 days. You've got a 30-day session to get this thing done. Now, if they can get it done, I definitely get the impression that Homeland Security will tell New Mexico, okay, we know that it's going to take a couple of months for this to go into law, but we will give you that extension.
Gotcha.
But if it doesn't get done, well, I can't imagine it not getting done because this affects every single person. Now, regardless of where you are on the political spectrum, if you're in New Mexico and you're a legal resident, the specter that you may have to go back in there and get a brand new ID because of a lot of the problem is based, or the Real ID question is based upon the people who are undocumented, then that's going to be a real hot button issue. Last thing, people talk about, well, let's use the Utah two-tiered system, which I think is a pretty good idea.
A lot of folks are looking at that.
State of Utah uses that. However, I predict you're going to have a real fight in the legislature, especially among immigrants' rights people, because that Utah two-tiered system, if you're undocumented, you get a different colored ID, and there are immigrant rights people who are saying we don't like that. We don't. It singles people out. So I think this is going to be fraught with a lot of political problems. But I think they have to knock heads and get something done.
Fine, but do you think it would get done? I mean, given the governor's position on this, do we not have a natural logjam that just can't be broken in 30 days?
I think something like this goes beyond
Is it
politics.
big enough to break it? Okay.
Yes, because people, every single one of us is going to be affected by this. And if people aren't going to be able to get on airplanes, there's going to be political hell to pay.
January 19th. Let's see what happens. Up next, we talk about proposed new developments in downtown Albuquerque.